Good?
Good.
Right here.
Super. Welcome, everyone, to the Lincolnville Select Board meeting. It is the 12th of December. Before we get going, Kern, would you read the quote of the evening?
I'd be glad to. You cannot cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. Rabindranath Tagore.
Nicely done. Thank you.
Yeah,
Is that
works for me. Yeah.
I think you did well.
Yeah, nailed it.
You did well.
Nailed it.
Now I'd like to open the podium for the Citizens Forum for any non-agenda items. And seeing no hordes of citizens rushing up to the podium or waving their hands, let's move along to the administrator's report.
All I have to report beyond what's on the agenda tonight is that dog licenses are due by the end of the year.
Can come into the town office or do it online.
Correct. Town office during normal business hours or online 24/7.
Perfect. Then let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are here at the town office unless announced otherwise. The Heart and Soul team meeting is meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, December 13th, noon at the community library. Cemetery trustees are scheduled to meet Wednesday, December 14th, 5:30. Broadband committee Thursday, December 15th, 6 p.m. Comprehensive Plan Review Committee Thursday, December 15th, 6:30. Town office will be closed in observance of Christmas Day on Monday, December 26th. The Lakes and Ponds Committee meeting that's on the agenda, is not being held this month. And the Select Board meets next on Tuesday, December 27th, 6 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And is there any upcoming community events anyone wishes to share? Seeing none, let's move along to the meeting minutes from the 28th of November.
I move that the board approve the November 28th, 2022 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And we welcome Matthew Eddy, the Executive Director from the Mid-Coast Council of Governments, who has a presentation to offer us.
Good evening.
Hey there.
Good evening.
And thank you for having me. Finally sat down with David after we both tried to bump into each other for a while to talk about Mid-Coast Council of Governments, a little bit of background for this area. We have reformulated ourselves and now include Brunswick and Topsom, that area, Hartswell, Saginaw County, Knox County, some members from Lincoln County, some of the larger communities, and also received a state grant for municipal technical assistance, which includes Waldo County. My understanding is that you folks were members of MCED, the Mid-Coast Economic Development District at one time. We evolved from MCED into MCOG, Mid-Coast Council of Governments. I came on last April as the executive director. If it hadn't been a council of governments and been broader based than just the Economic Development District, I probably wouldn't have taken the job. We're really trying to do something a little different here. But I'm also trying to figure out how to best serve Waldo County and the communities in Waldo County, because we know that you did have a regional planning commission at one time. That regional planning commission folded. There are a variety of different groups that have come in and tried to provide services. And we're trying to establish a consistent provision of service, technical assistance, and collaborative planning throughout all of the region, but we're trying to bring some additional coordination here. So my goal here tonight is just to tell you a little bit about us, what we do, how we provide technical assistance, what we have for staff, and answer questions for you. This is our mission statement, excuse me. This is our mission statement that was approved by the board just about a year ago, that in fact moved the organization from an economic development district to a council of governments. And it's really about providing technical assistance, about providing regional coordination, an economic development strategy. More than anything, it was about developing a strategic plan for the region and then figuring out the resources we needed to carry out that strategic plan. Mike, you attended the session in our General Assembly.
Yes.
That was that last session that we were really doing on the strategic plan.
Right, yeah.
We had done a whole series of focus groups over the course of the fall. Also did a survey and began putting together a strategic plan for the organization. Our technical assistance is varied. We do a lot of work in municipal land use planning. We're in high demand. We're doing specific projects for about 10 or 11 projects, communities right now. That list, as I'm getting around to different communities and I'm telling people what it is that we do, we're getting a lot of requests for us to do more and to do things for them that they wanted to do for a while. We do economic development planning. We have our own loan program, and we have reserves of about $1 million to be able to loan out to local businesses. We're not usually alone in that. We usually team with a lender and maybe with another finance organization, but we bring a skill set and a little bit more of a personal service than most agencies do. And I mean by personal service, we got 1.5 people, and who you're talking to is the person that ultimately make that decision. We have a loan board that oversees that work, and it's a program that's been around for about 9 or 10 years that we hope to expand. We do sustainability resiliency planning and implementation. I'm going to go through these in a little more detail. Regional and sub-regional coordination, I'll give you some examples. Community development services, particularly in the CDBG and Northern Border area. And cooperative purchasing, which I don't know what group David participates with, but we can link you to the GPCOG Cooperative Service Program. Now, there's some questions about dues and what we pay. I sent David a number today, which is going out of my head, something like $2,000 something, based on $1.25 per cap. Yeah. And I provided this slide just to show you what we do with it, because the municipal planning assistance program we get from the state requires a 40% match, and so we apply the dues to that, but it creates our ability to provide a planner that's dedicated to technical assistance and planning. We get assistance to do community development block grants, so we use a little bit more of our dues to match that when we have to do some extensive CDBG work for a community that can't afford it or is in an emergency situation. Same thing with Northern Border Program. The reason we originally had an economic development district was because we received EDA funds, and we're we're the recognized agency by EDA to provide reviews for EDA programs. If you have a program, a project, infrastructure project that services business development of one kind or another, it can be pretty broadly based. Your project needs to go through a review process, a collaboration process with the other communities in the region. We utilize the money we get from EDA and the match money to provide another planner, a second planner that works in that area. We have our rural development, FAME regional development loan programs, and we're looking to, I like to call it recovering as an agency. As we're recovering as an agency, there are 3 areas that we think that we are going to get additional funding in. Maine Department of Transportation, who we're talking with them about a contract for this coming year. Governor's Office of Innovation, GoPIF, where the sustainability and resiliency programs are coming out of. And we have in the last 6 months, gotten a couple different grants for communities for a total of about $50,000 to help them through resiliency planning, and we hope to grow that program more. And then what we anticipate coming out of the Department of Economic and Community Development for housing partnership grants, which we're going to get some money. We're going to really begin to spend time working on issues associated with affordable housing. This is our staff. I'm the executive director. I've been in planning in Maine since the early 1980s. And I've done just about everything there is to do in community development planning and municipal assistance. And I love my work. I'm still doing it. I still enjoy doing it. Brian Dankos, our deputy director, is really in charge of our business assistance and loan program, does some grant writing and runs the EDA program. Max Johnston, who you may have run into, I think, Mike, you've talked to Max or somebody in the comp plan committee.
I think somebody, I've talked to Meg. Yeah.
Yeah, Meg.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meg handles our sustainability program. Max does our land use program. And Michael Martone is a new contract planner for us that does land use planning and community development. Meg, and then Hannah Sisk does a little bit of our website work. And Charlotte Nutt is our new planner who has been a mate for, I'm enjoying working with some younger staff members. She has an amazing GIS head and can do a lot of GIS mapping and has begun creating maps both for us and for communities already. And so there's a great potential for mapping your community in a little bit of a different way. It's definitely a tool and source for comprehensive planning. We intend, as we grow and we begin to build this budget, to probably add at least one more planner. And then we'll probably top out at what I think we as an organization can provide and afford. We have a technical assistance policy, and we break our technical assistance into services that are free. This first page is mostly what we can do for free, and what we're trying to do is meld the technical assistance money that we get from state agencies with our dues to be able to provide a certain amount of service for free. Consultation with planning board, select board, town councils, email correspondence, offering opinions, particularly related to LD 2003 as an example. Minor amendments to ordinances. We're doing 3 different communities, minor amendments right now, Richmond and Vinyl Haven in particular. We'll do one detailed site review for something that you have that's a little more complicated than your planning board is wanting to do, and you want a third-party review. We can do that for you, subdivision or site plan review. Written review of municipally owned development projects, things that we can help you through with business parks, those sorts of things. Meetings with town officials, assistance with Northern Border Program, assistance with the CDBG program, mostly educational, hearing what your project is, figuring out whether it's eligible, whether there's a reason to put together an application. We'll do that initial research. Tax increment financing, and all the aspects of creating a district and creating a program for the district, and then helping you figure out how to manage that. And then community and individual business development assistance. We do a surprisingly, because we're a loan program, we spend a lot of time talking to businesses. Since I've been here, we've talked to probably a dozen seriously, and a half dozen that are becoming actual loans and applications and going further. Where we begin to charge a fee for service, and that's negotiated based on hourly rates and the number of hours we think a project's going to take, and we provide that in detail to you. We figure that out in advance so that you've got an idea, and for some communities, they'll pick and choose what they want to do, or put some of the things off to another year. And that's fine. We just want to make sure you understand the menu. But when we get into substantial modifications and development of ordinances, frequent meetings and the adoption of those ordinances. The process sometimes is as difficult and lengthy as the actual drafting and writing. Development reviews, we contract with Bath right now, for example, while they're looking for a planner to do all their development reviews that come through. Comprehensive planning assistance, helping communities go through the community engagement process, through the writing process, through we'll do some of the basic data development and map development for the process and work with the committees. And specific project development, we're in Union right now, helping them with a project on Route 17, a business development project in which we'll work through Steel Pro. Sorry, the name was going out of my head. Steel Pro, where we'll help them through the site review process. We're going to do a wetland swap for them to better utilize the property they're on, and we'll probably do a TIF district for them and some ordinance rewrite in that area. So that's a fairly substantial project, a good example where a contract was warranted. And as I always explain, if we do a TIF, we can figure out how to pay for our services for you if that value is there. So, the business development and loan services is one we're anticipating growing, and this is really one where you on the local level can identify through conversations you hear about a business that's interested in doing something in your community and needs that extra financial boost. The bank may not be willing to lend them the entire amount. We take on that loan piece, we take on the risk. We usually take a second or even a third position. We're not there to lose money, but hopefully we're closing a financial gap to help that business move forward. It's something that I've participated with on local business programs, and we've got a really good potential with the system we've got in place to grow and expand that. We'll help businesses obtain grants. We worked with a community, we worked with Damascotta recently to help them with a business that was interested in getting a grant. We got that grant all the way through the approval process until the business actually pulled out on their own and decided they didn't want to do that business anymore. Which happens. We are looking at regional and sub-regional focuses, what we're calling a hub of excellence, which is essentially an amalgamation of a region's assets. And our region is really pretty interesting because the coastal, the fishing community, a number of research institutions from one end to the other, some really good vocational and community college training programs, one end or the other. We think we can develop this hub of excellence and be recognized for certain industries and development. Everything from basic, obviously with BIW and a lot of the precision manufacturing that goes from one end of the region to another, which is not unusual for Maine. We're well known for our precision manufacturing. But things like aquaculture, hydroponics, other kinds of agricultural pursuits. All those things we think we can bring together and really develop a brand for ourselves for this region. So I think it's unique. Business development strategies and, again, tax increment financing and helping businesses move forward. As Mike mentioned, Meg Rasmussen handles our sustainability and resiliency program. And we do everything from collecting and analyzing data, developing baseline information, formulating a plan for the community, taking a look at your capital assets, the emissions issues, things that are subject to climate change impact, stormwater searches, stormwater runoff. You folks are unique, you probably have issues with both. And then implementing the plan and helping communities find resources to do that. There's a lot of resources